this is the book that Sriji was talking about, the hidden component of the thank you protocol. He was making a reference to the revised second edition of it. So, because the Gravity of Gratitude book itself is the one I'll be talking about little bit, but there is something inside that book which still evades attention, and that is the hidden component. That is what I will be talking today. The secret of the hidden component of thank you protocol is written as one line on page 146. And I'm sure most of you have already read this book. Especially in this audience, I would 100% agree with the idea that everybody has a copy of it and they're reading it for the third or fourth time. I can I can vouch on it because I'm myself reading it again and again because it is just like sometimes you lose track of something and then you say, oh, this is what it is all about. So it was in that book, it was on the page 146, it was written, why wait till tonight? I thought. I just sat down mentally saying thank while inhaling deeply and you while exhaling completely for 16 hours straight, a deep meditative trance. So this protocol, although was given to me by my father, so in time of crisis, this protocol helped me a lot. But after practicing it, I did not know that it can lead me to a totally different dimension, and that is the hidden component. And that is the meditation aspect of it. So the protocol is as follows. As you might sit down on a chair straight, or sit down on a floor, whichever works out. Back straight, arms on the lap, palms facing upwards, and eyes closed, tilted head tilted back a little bit, and exhale slowly completely. And then when you inhale, say thank, deep inhalation, and hold. After the inhalation has happened, hold for a while, 7 seconds or so, 4 seconds to 5 seconds, as to 7 seconds, whichever works out. And then with a hissing sound, with the constriction of your throat, breathe out and say this and mentally say you. So this is the protocol. Now the hissing sound he told me is basically Ujjayi pranayam. Ujjayi pranayam is making a little constriction in the throat and breathing in and out. That's what it is. And he asked me to do 7 such cycles. So that 7 cycle itself was so powerful that it took me out of my anxiety and helplessness situation. Suddenly it took me out of it. So, but eventually when I started to practice it, this is what happened. So I discovered that the thank you protocol contains the gratitude component and then the deep conscious breathing component also. So when you're inhaling, that is a deep conscious. The breath aspect of it is deep conscious breathing, right? And then the gratitude component happens to be the thank and you. So when two of these major events happening together, then that what it does, it activates the chakras in at a default level. So it is as if it is a Kundalini Jagran. This is exactly what was happening. And by default, by you don't even have to try, you don't have to worry about it, it just happens. And then there is a hidden component, which is the basically the chapter 9 of the gravity of gratitude, which is on the page 146, what I experienced, that I could sit here for instead of 15 minutes, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, or whatever, 4 hours, 16 hours. Finally, it was like that. So, till 16 hours, one can sit when you are in a deep hidden component. That is a meditative component. Now, I'll explain to you what this particular uh, protocol does. So there are some very young people sitting in the audience, very young. I mean, they are like uh, 13, 14-year old. So I am actually uh, going to be talking to them also, actually talking to them directly. So what happens in our, these are the different frequencies. The lowest frequency in our emotions and our feelings is fear of something unknown. Fear is always of the unknown. If it was known, then there is no fear. Fear is always of the unknown. So, so because we build different narratives around that fear. So that which probably have would happen or would not happen. If it happens, we'll face it. But if we don't know, then that is what causes fear. Grief, depression, despair, powerlessness, insecurity, guilt, unworthiness, jealousy, hatred, revenge, anger, blame, discontent, doubt. All these things are negative emotions, basically. And the worst of them is this powerlessness, fear, despair, and depression, anxiety, and all that. So, and then there is a second higher frequencies. The highest is the consciousness, right? And then the just below it is gratitude or the thankfulness component, the empowerment component, the enthusiasm and the excitement and the positive expectation and optimism and hopefulness and contentment. This is a positive or higher frequency vibration that we are in. And this is what causes creativity, this left side. On the right side causes absolute discouragement and destruction. You are anti-creative actually, and you inflict a wound on yourself most of the time. How do you get out of it? That is a question, right? So by just saying thank you for whatever you have, thank you for whatever you have, which means the breath is all you have right now, right? Even if the world is missing out of you, but you have the breath, right? Say thank you for the breath itself, and suddenly it takes you to the the energy frequencies close to consciousness, and that is that. So when you practice that breathing, the thank you protocol, you are bypassing all the red zone, the lower frequency ones, and you are gradually actually jumping, quantum jump, they call it quantum jumping into the into the gratitude frequency, which is very, very thankful. You are always thankful for whatever happens. And that thankfulness is a attractor, actually. It is a magnet to get you good things to happen in your life all of a sudden. So this is very, very powerful. And that's why it is easy from this particular uh, from this particular vibration, gratitude vibration or thankfulness vibration to consciousness, it is very easy to, because the frequencies are not that different. Okay. So, so what happens when you are in the red zone? There is one area in the brain. Don't worry about the complexity of this technology, of this nomenclature. There is one area in the brain, in the middle brain, called hypothalamus, right? So that hypothalamus, whenever we are into some kind of a, when we perceive, perception of threat itself, perception of that fear itself, perception of something unknown, or even known also, that particular thing causes uh, corticotrophic release hormone to be released out of it, right? From the hypothalamus. And that hormone goes and activates anterior pituitary to release adrenocorticotropic hormones, ACTH. And that goes into the bloodstream and which activates the adrenal cortex. Now, adrenal cortex is a small organ sitting here just on top of the kidney. Okay. So that is what releases the cortisol. So whenever you have the butterfly feeling effect, sometimes you are in stress and tensed when you have tomorrow you have exam, and that butterfly effect happen. That butterfly effect is basically the cortisol release in your abdomen, right? That is what it is. So basically, this is what is happening. So normally, there is a feedback mechanism. If there is enough cortisol in your system, then this cortisol itself will shut its own synthesis by negative feedback. The cortisol release, and it releases, it stops, it tells the pituitary, hey, listen, don't release any more of ACTH hormone. I am done. This is my job is done. Or it will tell the hypothalamus, Don't release any corticotropic release hormone, and it will be done. So this is what happens normally. Now, this cortisol release is very, very good for our. It was a good thing to start with in our evolutionary situation, right? So let's say if there was a tiger sitting there somewhere trying to catch hold of you, what you will do is you'll run, right? So you require a lot of energy to run. So that this cortisol will create that fight and flight response in you. Okay. So, but if the cortisol is constantly released in your system, what happens is then the feedback regulation is disrupted, and as a result of which you get into this fear, stress, or low frequency emotions, right? Increasing the cortisol enough, so it's just like assume cortisol. It's just similar to just like acid, right? Sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid in a bubble, and it is running in your body. Wherever it attaches itself, it releases and it causes blisters. That is exactly how you should assume as cortisol as. Although it is responsible for fight and flight and responsible for survival of your species, of our species, but then too much of cortisol is no good because it impairs. The first target is it is impairing the immune system. Immune system means now you cannot fight the the outside bacteria, and or you cannot fight the bacteria or the viruses that is attacking you. So immune it destroys your capacity to fight back, internal capacity to fight back. This causes inflammation. And inflammation is the major challenge, major uh, enemy in us. It causes all the digestive uh, and cardiac disorders, autoimmune dysfunctions, neurodegenerative disorder, dementia, tumor, cancer, neuropsychiatric disorders. All the disorders starts with this only. So any malfunction of the hypothalamus pituitary axis, which I said that the red cross, that is exactly the brain frying mechanism. So brain stops thinking correctly. So in the entire what you call the prefrontal cortex, everything is in disarray right now. So all these challenges happen because of that. Burnout also. And people turn to alcoholism because of that. So because they are not able to cope up with stress. Okay. So my dad said if we are not feeling any of the green feelings, or the feeling, or we are feeling unfulfilled in life, he said that thank more and more for what you already have in life. So what you already have in life, you don't, if suppose you can't say, oh man, what about me? I don't have a job. What about me? I don't have a girlfriend or a boyfriend. What about me? I don't have a house. I am fired. Whatever. Don't focus on those things. Are you breathing? Yes. Thank that. Keep thanking. If you cannot remember anything good about your life, at least you can thank your breath, right? So that's what he was telling me. And when you're done thanking for your breath, thank even more. So there is no end to how much thank you can do because you are constantly getting fresh breath every moment, right? And this particular thing is the when you are in the cortisol effect of cortisol, that is the sympathetic nervous system, which is fight and flight. And when you are thankful, you suddenly shift from fight and flight and turmoil and turbulence mode into very calm and very serene mode. That's what it is all about. Now, what happens when uh, when you are in gratitude? So, say let's say if I give you something, so I feel good about giving you something, right? So you are taking it, you are receiving it also. So you give me thanks. So both the receiver and the giver both have get benefited by that. And what is the reason? They say that there is a region just behind your eyebrows, in the center of your eyebrows, just behind it. this portion, this orange portion is the ventromedial prefrontal cortex. This gets activated. Now, how do they know that this gets activated? They get activated by a technique. They found out that there is a technique called BOLD, blood oxygen level dependent fMRI imaging. Okay, so what it does is, so whenever some area in the brain is activated as compared to the other areas, more activation happens. Then what happens, that that area receives more of the oxygenated blood, right? Now, oxygenated blood means oxygen is used for activity in that area, right? So, so how does this signaling done? Since the oxygen is carried by what? The hemoglobin, right? Hemoglobin in the red blood cells is what causes what carries oxygen. Now, the more oxygen means, so now if that hemoglobin is has having iron in it, right? So that is a ferromagnetic substance. If that ferromagnetic substance is is kept in a magnetic field, that will cause a shift in those hemoglobin molecule, and that is the shift they want. They try to image it out immediately, and that is called bold fMRI. So this is what they did in the subjects who they were subjected. They were asked to experiencing the feeling of gratitude. When somebody is really, really genuinely feeling the sense of feeling the gratitude itself, at that time they were asked to perform the fMRI imaging, and they found the same, the prefrontal area, ventromedial prefrontal cortex here, and the ventromedial prefrontal cortex here, and this here. All these things were revealed, and uh, they found out that these are the actually the uh, mm, prefrontal cortex, ventromedial and medial prefrontal cortex get activated. And what happens around the same time, whenever they were experiencing this kind of a feeling and this kind of signaling they were observing, blood was drawn from the body, and they were trying to figure out if there is an increase in the dopamine and oxytocin and endorphin release or not. And they found out just at this, whenever there was this signal lit up in those areas, they were seeing an upsurge of dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphin, which are the really feel good hormones. Actually, they were bathing in that hormone. The whole body was ecstatic. It's just like, whenever mother gives birth to a child, she goes through a lot of pain. But it doesn't matter, when the moment she sees the child, all the pain is gone. Because why? Because she's with the child in front of her, she sees dopamine, and I mean the whole thing is bathing with in dopamine and oxytocin and endorphin, and that's what boosts the immunity. Even though she might be having she might be giving birth to a child on the road perhaps, like, but still her immunity will be so strong that nothing will matter. So this is what it is. So this particular area is the one which is pituitary, which is releasing oxytocin. Now you see that pituitary was also releasing the ACTH, right? Adrenocorticotrophin hormone, to create cortisol, but it also releases oxytocin depending on how you feel. So the feeling is so powerful that when you feel gratitude, this pituitary does not release ACTH, but it releases oxytocin. And of course, there are some other areas which releases the endorphin and dopamine too. There is another area which is called the middle frontal gyri. The middle frontal gyri is this particular is facing forward. So gyri means the mountain, and the salsa is the valley. The brain is very convoluted, right, all the time. So this particular gyri is the one which gets this is the bold fMRI data here. So I'm not, the Shutterberg did not give me the permission to reproduce his this thing. So I made my own drawing here depicting what area of middle frontal gyri can be used. So what happens when you are feeling gratitude, the same, exactly the same time, you also are very forgiving person. This particular paper talks about beautifully about how gratitude is associated with forgiveness. So whenever you are in gratitude, you have the ability to let go and forgive others, no matter what the trespasses might be. It's okay, no big deal. That type of thing. And those people who forgive and those people who are in gratitude will never have any symptoms of depression or anxiety. This was the hallmark of the paper in which I wrote it down. That a larger middle frontal gyri volume was significantly associated with more forgiveness, as well as a fewer or no symptoms of depression and anxiety. This was the most important thing in that paper. So, in addition to that, what happens is mm, these gratitude meditations also increase bold fMRI signal in right insular cortex. So, insular cortex is the gyri. Sorry, sulci. Sulci means the valley just below the MFG, middle frontal gyri. So just below the middle frontal gyri, there is a region which is called insular cortex, and that is associated with tremendous amount of compassion. And that's what my dad told me, and this is exactly what it is. This is right um, hemisphere, and it is in the right insular cortex here, and this is also right insular cortex here. So, what is our brain? Our brain on gratitude has these four major things happening. It has the cognitive restructuring and evoke possibility thinking. See, it does not allow you to become despondent suddenly. You start to see possibility. Okay, it's okay. Problems are there. Okay, let's find a solution. I think there is a solution here. This is how you start to think in that whenever you are in gratitude. So, this reduces fear and anxiety because you know that you 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 know directly that fear is false evidence appearing real. FEAR, right? That's what it is. It just you think that it is having something, but it is not nothing to do with. Then secondly, it rewires your own brains. It rewires you into a bliss. This particular center is a bliss center, which is most people think of when they do a deep meditation, they feel blissed out. These are the region which gets activated. And of course, dopamine and serotonin are activated here. So these are the regions. So our brain and gratitude is totally bathing in one of the beautiful neurochemicals known to mankind. And that is what keeps us healthy, high immunity, no stress, no high blood pressure, no nothing of that nonsense. In the pranayam component, or let's talk about. So that was the gratitude portion of the thank you protocol. Now let's talk about the pranayam component, the life force. So what the process of pran pratishtha? See, what is pran pratishtha? We were born as when we were born, the day one, we took our breath, but we were not conscious that we were breathing, right? And that breathing, non-conscious or unconscious breathing happens throughout life, almost, until unless somebody tells that you have to breathe consciously. And that conscious breathing is called pranayam. Pranayam is normally we breathe the same thing, but when you're conscious of your breath, becomes a pranayam. And that is the what causes pran pratishtha. So far, we have been Shwas Pratishthit only. Shwas Pratishthit means uh, we are just established in breathing only, but we are never established in pran. Pran means the life, vital force. Okay. So, so I'm just giving an analogy. Recently, we have had a Ramlala temple established in Ayodhya, right? Where there was a big boulder, big rock, huge rock was brought from Nepal. And what happened is this gentleman was a great sculptor. He sculpted the this whole thing is monolithic. He sculpted a baby ram out of that. But that baby ram was not worshipped, right? See, this is the one which is the this is the idol. It is the murti, but it is not worshipped until and unless it is consecrated. What is consecration? It is pran pratishtha, which means uh, only a yogi can do the pran pratishtha. And it what is pran pratishtha? It is to convert the idol into deity. So whenever you go to a temple, it is a deity, whereas the same idol may be available in one of the sculptors shop somewhere, and that is not worship. You have to convert that idol to deity. That is exactly what pranayam does to us. So what does pranayam do? It is a sculpting of, let's say, this is our body, our development, right? From the fertilization to the zygote to four cell stage to all the thing to embryo, we are born now. Brand new baby is born. That is Shwas Pratishtha, which means the very first time he breathes or she breathes, that is, and the mother and this baby cries and the mother is very happy, and that is Shwas Pratisthit, right? And this adult still is the Shwas Pratisthit, and this elderly is still Shwas Pratisthit. He is still breathing, uh, but he has no understanding of conscious breathing. So this fellow never knew what his Pran Pratishtha was. So our life is just like a what you call idol, and still not a deity. So how do you get Pran Pratisthit? So basically, you inhale. This is a empty lung. You inhale deeply. Now there is four aspects to the breathing cycle. One is inhalation, then hold, and then exhalation, and then again hold. In the hold area, there is nothing is happening actually. Actually, nothing is happening. But that is the zone for doorway to unmanifest consciousness. That is the area where you can have access to consciousness. And now we only do this. We inhale and we exhale. We inhale and exhale. We never are uh, conscious about this hold. So hold, you cannot be having a hold without being aware of it. That is the beauty of it. When somebody says, be aware of your breath, you will be aware for 2 3 breaths, and after that it will suddenly slip away. But if somebody says, okay, be aware of your breath, at the same time, whenever you're breathing, hold between the inhalation and exhalation. Hold cannot happen unless you are aware of it. You try to do that. If you are not aware of the hold, you cannot have the whole cycle becoming an aware full pranayam. Pranayam cannot happen unless you are basically establishing the whole area also. So what happens is pranayam is awareful breathing, and simply inhaling and exhaling is unawareful breathing. So beginning of the pran pratishtha, how do you start doing it? Ujjayi pranayam is the one which is constricted throat, and this is basically called oceanic breathing or constricted throat breathing. So this is the basic apparatus of us. This is the tongue here, very powerful tongue here, and this is the nose. Air comes from here and goes inside here. So when it goes inside this small orifice, this particular area, which is which is cartilaginous but not having a bony structure to it, and just next to it is medulla oblongata, and there is a pons sitting here, right? So when you do Khechari mudra, which means you are turning your tongue towards the soft part of your up this thing, what happens is you you create a vibrationary situation right here. So but I don't know, some people, you might learn this later on in life. The kids I'm asking that whenever there is a high velocity, there is a less pressure. So if you are doing the Ujjayi breathing, you have constricting this area, this portion area, and what you're doing is you are letting the air from the nose go from a little orifice here, constricted area, and that orifice makes low pressure, high velocity, low pressure. So there will be this particular area will have little vibration going on here, and that will activate the medulla. What else is there? This is the region where we are talking about. This is a medulla. This is the pons here, right? So this is the area which gets activated. Now this is facing you. So if you see yourself here, it is when you face your um, to away out of the screen. Let's say this is what you will see here. So there are 5 respiratory centers here: uh, ventral respiratory group, central chemoreceptors, dorsal receptor group, and pneumotaxic center and apneustic center. These are the different regions in the pons as well as medulla oblongata. And what happens is these are the regions responsible for the pranas. Now you'll say, what is this prana thing? Pranayam is awareful breathing. So when you're taking one breath, which you are completely aware of, inhalation, the hold, the exhalation, and the hold, and again the inhalation, and again the hold. So these are if you are aware of all these regions, what happens is these gets activated and they control the pranas. I'll tell you how that goes a little bit later. The prana, apana, vyana, saman, udan, and these are the the different. This prana means uh, the energetics or vital energy forces which makes 5 different physiological function active in our body. This is what pran means. So, so these are the different receptor types here. And what happens is they have a temperature control, the water balance control, eating behavior, urinary bladder control, secondary respiratory control, blood pressure, immune regulation control, and primary respiratory control. These are the different pran vayus. I'll tell you more. So let's say air remaining the same or a breath remaining the same. What happens when the same thing is activating these different 5 receptor types in medulla oblongata and pons? What happens is activates the respiratory control center, which is a pran vayu. Circulatory center is vyan vayu. Neuroimmune center is known as udan vayu. Excretory control is apan vayu. And digestive control is known as saman vayu. So this is what this when you say vayu is basically the breath that got translated into different uh, activation of vital physiological functions. Got it? And that's what when you say nase rog hare sab pira japat nirantar hanumat bira. So Tulsidas ji says in Hanuman Chalisa that if you constantly are japat nirantar means always aware of your breath. Hanuman ji is nothing but breath only. If you are constantly aware means 4 parts of that breath. If you are constantly aware of that, you will not have nase rog hare sab pira. There is no affliction, no disease of any kind. Now we are aware that all diseases are only either in the respiration or either in the circulatory system, cardiovascular system, neuroimmune system, excretory. There is no other disease beyond this. This is it. So if you have now what is a yogi? Yogi is that person who has control over all these pranas. What are the pranas? These 5 respiratory or these 5 physiological functions. If you are in charge of them, do you like them to be bad? No, you will be very healthy. And that is exactly what I saw in my dad. I have not seen my dad even once, even having sore throat, even having cold or fever or high blood pressure or cholesterol or any dementia, nothing. He was perfect all through life. I asked my mom before we were born, was he like that? He said, yeah, he was like that always. Very healthy, always happy, cheerful, smiling person. Why? Because he was doing the protocol. Now, this is exactly what I said. One pranayam is ek mukhi Hanumanji. And when you do the Ujjayi breathing, oceanic breathing, Hanumanji gets converted to Panchmukhi Hanumanji. Right? There you are. the five major physiological functions: the respiratory control, the circulatory control, neuroimmune control, excretory and digestive control. And how do you know that there are some, these receptor types are connected to different parts of the brain, where where the brain, different parts of the brain control this. But essentially, this is where the relay happens. This gets activated, and then the subsequent activation happens in different areas. So what are the benefits of inhalation and hold? Now we know that when we breathe in, we only take 21% oxygen. Air contains only 21% oxygen. Rest is nitrogen, hydrogen, carbon dioxide, helium, methane, or you name it. All gases are there. Different kinds of gases. But when you do normal breathing, which means we are just doing breathing, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. What happens? 16% of it is going out. Only 5% is taken up. And that 5% oxygen is not enough to run the body. So we breathe more and we breathe more. Let's say we breathe 16 times per minute. That decreases our lifespan actually. Say if we see a dog breathing, he breathes like 50 times, 50 cycles in 1 minute, maybe 60. But, and how much is his lifespan? 15 years, 20 years, and that is gone. Whereas tortoise, who lives longer? Tortoise or the dog? Tortoise lives, maybe he breathes about once in 5 minutes. I mean, he lives 300, 400 years. So that is what it, and healthy also. And when we inhale and hold for 4 seconds, let's say, we allow for carbon dioxide and oxygen exchange to take place, such that we breathe out only 5% oxygen, and 16% oxygen is withheld inside our lungs. That also increases the lung capacity, right? This, in addition to that, activating this pancha pranas, or the five physiological function, which will be working in full throttle very nicely, not in a low level. Any challenge happens, suddenly you become sick. There is enough rain today, or I am feeling cold, or whatever that happens in the atmosphere, you're susceptible to the fluctuation outside, and that's what that causes the disease and illness in our body. And what happens? What is the benefit of exhalation and hold? That exhalation and hold, this itself is a big topic right now. Uh, if somebody is interested, I have slides at the after the at maybe I can show you towards the discussion at the discussion time. What is this hematopoietic stem cell? Say, have you ever grown a jasmine plant? How do you make them flower? Jasmine plant flowering happens when you deprive it for a week. Don't give them any water. And then suddenly you start to see jasmine flourishing like crazy. Or it will create. Why it does that? Because it thinks that plant is under stress, so let's produce flowers so that its generation, or its it can multiply eventually, right? That's what it is all about. So the same thing is with us also. When we exhale and hold, what we do is we allow for the bone marrow, and thinks that, oh my goodness, this fellow has no oxygen carrying stuff in him. RBC is not there. Let's produce more. Or if he is not breathing, it means there is a threat to his existence. So let's produce more of what you call T cells and B cells, those immune cells, right? All that thing starts. So what happens is this hematopoietic stem cell gets activated, and it produces all kind of blood cells. Suddenly, you will find new blood cells and new immune cells coming up in your system. It produces neuroplasticity and neurogenesis. So you will never have dementia or Alzheimer's situation when you exhale and hold. Um, uh, Sabnis Kaka always teaches us how to do the exhale and hold in his pranayam classes. Amazing, amazing. And he can hold for 20 seconds. Can you know that? This is the power of his uh, extremely good health. And this is the secret of his health. And
40,
neuro, it
40
is,
seconds.
yeah, 40 seconds. You see that? How powerful that is? So he will never have this neurodegenerative situation ever in his lifetime. And the bone density will never go down because chondrogenesis is nothing but new bone formation happens because of that. And let's say if there was a cardiac, some heart attack happened sometime. One small region in the heart died. This promotes new myocytes to be formed, a new muscle formation in the heart. It promotes liver regeneration also. Exhalation and hold. This is just studies coming up recently. When they started to understand, these people who do pranayama have fantastic health. What is the reason for? They try to say, okay, let's see this, let's see this, let's see this, and every time they say, oh my goodness, this is happening, this is happening. So it started off with this particular hematopoietic stem cell. Then they started to understand the neurogenesis part of it. Now it is prescribed in California as an additive treatment in Alzheimer's disease. Bone marrow density, everything is amazing. This is this. So if anybody wants to know the science part of it, we can discuss later on also. The personal transformation begins just because of gratitude. What happens is, my dad said, if you are thankful, you will activate all your chakras. How that happens? Because this is the gratitude chakra. When you're feeling fulfilled, you feel thankful, right? When you're feeling fulfilled, when your stomach is really fulfilled, nice, good food you have eaten, and you feel very, very thankful, right? That is the thing. So whenever you are in gratitude, this chakra gets activated by default without your knowledge. And what happens? Forgiveness also happens. Let go also happens. And you remember the compassion and the love happens. The insular cortex get activated it because of this chakra getting activated. Acceptance happens. If there is a challenge going on in your life, acceptance is the only thing that does not come so easy. But if acceptance starts to come, which means you are thankful, only then acceptance can happen. You are thankful, only then forgiveness can happen. You are thankful, only then let go can happen. You are thankful, only then acceptance can happen. And and clarity is another thing, which clarity of thought. Clarity of thought means seeing what is real for what it is, not your projection. So what happens is removal of avran. Avran means the covering, and vikshape is that which is projected without your knowledge. So let's say there was a belt thrown in a corner of your house. At 3 o'clock, you get up to take a drink of water, and what happens is you see the belt, but you start to think that it is not the belt, it is a snake. How the hell that snake came here? So that is called avran, means low light was causing it to see, not to see what it is. That is avran. Vikshape is to see snake instead of a belt. That complete clarity happens. So this is just an example. In life also, clarity of thinking. If there is no muddling up of thinking, you are so confirmed and clear. That's what happened. And of course, without the, then you start to understand grace. Grace means kripa for no apparent reason. You know that you have been given everything without your asking for it, without your earning for it, without your working for it. You are just given. And once that appreciation comes, then gratitude is bound to happen. And that is exactly what happens when you are in gratitude. All the chakras get activated. And when you are sitting in gratitude doing the thank you protocol, then the meditative component comes into deep into the consciousness in deep meditation. and direct experience of consciousness space. It is no more. Now you are pran pratishthit. You know what? Your pran pratishtha has happened, and now you become a deity. Then only you can say Aham Brahmasmi. Once you become a deity, this is called Aham Brahmasmi. That is before that. If you say I am Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi, it is a copycat. It is copied from Vedanta text. You have not experienced that yet. Once you experience it, you don't even have to say it. So let's talk about the meditative aspect of this thank you protocol. What happens is this is the dissection of the process of meditation. Dissection. So when you sit down for in the initial phase, when the mind wanders and the thought begin to stray in the beginning of the meditation, these are the areas which gets activated. I'm not going to tell the name of these because they are complex names, but I cannot say anything less than the name because that's how science is. Science, we cannot cut short the names here. So these are the areas which gets activated. Okay. So this activation itself causes you to get turbulent because the brain is, then you say you get up within 2 minutes, you get up. It's better that I dig the well somewhere and maybe uh, cut wood maybe somewhere or mow the lawn. That is better than sitting here because this is kind of gets you turbulent. Sitting quietly here makes you turbulent. It's an oxymoron, right? Whenever you're sitting quietly, you become turbulent. Why? Because this gets these all these areas get activated. But if you continue to sit, then what happens? This awareness of distraction is picked up by the salience network of the brain. This that you're distracted is picked up by what? By salience network, which consists of insular cortex and cingulate cortex. This is insular cortex and this is cingulate cortex. They pick up this noise that you are feeling distracted. If you continue to sit there, then what happens? The dorsolateral prefrontal cortex and inferior parietal lobe of the brain area that helps in disengaging attention from the distracting thoughts. See, the brain is so beautiful. If you can just sit there and it will help you. If people get up here and they say, I'm not interested in meditation because they could not understand that the brain is going to work in the next step. Next few minutes, it is starting to create the awareness of distraction, which will be picked up by this network. And then what happens? And then this will send a signal to the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex to disengage the attention, which will help you in disengaging the attention from the distracting thoughts and help you refocus on the rhythmic breathing. Thank you. This is what happens. And then what happens? Then the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex only is activated and it sustains the rhythmic breathing. And after some time, even that focus on the rhythmic breathing is transcended during extended deep. You don't know whether you're breathing or not breathing. Probably you are in the hold. You are just there. And that is the consciousness space, your true nature. Now what happens? That is exactly what the drop falls into the ocean and becomes ocean. This is meditation. The brain activity is very, very high in the beginning and then gradually decreases, and it is not there anymore. I mean, very, very basal activity just to, that is exactly what Sadhguru had once talked about. He had gone to England somewhere and they wanted to measure his brain activity. Within 10 minutes, he was into deep trance and they said, your brain does not have any activity. This is what it is. This is exactly, there is no brain activity. Actually, there is very basal activity which is cannot be picked up by the instrument that we are using right now. That is what it is all about. And this particular work came from a laboratory in Wisconsin, Madison. So I'm just, and the people who they worked, the subjects were from Tibet who were doing this uh, deep breathing meditation, deep breathing all the time and doing the meditation. Those are the ones were the subjects for that. Now what happened? 3D states of consciousness. When the initial phase, you are sitting here with all the turbulence going on, I am upset, I am this, I am that, million thoughts are coming, and all of them are not so good thoughts. You say, hell with, I am not interested in meditation. This is exactly at that time what happens. Why it case? Because ego, which is a phantom identity, causes the sense of separateness, fear, and unhealing, which is also makes you feel limited, and you struggle, and you have this competitive going on. Somebody is trying to take you for a ride at work, and they are trying to sabotage your work and think like that. I am going to get them before they get me. Those kind of thing. It is purely physical and material level. Only logical linear thinking works in this zone, 3D state of consciousness, and it is non-authentic. It is unreal. It is, since it is ego driven, no? So it has to be non-real. So non-authentic, non-aligned, dualistic, disconnected, trapped feeling. This is exactly what happens, and you get out. So within, if you don't continue, just sit. Don't worry, just sit. Another 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Then what happens? This area gets activated, insular cortex. Have you ever experienced? I have seen last time, CG. Yeah, we had done um, the meditation session, and I saw three people just in front of me having their tears come out of their eyes. Three people in front of me, or maybe more. And they say, I don't know what happened. What did you do that I was in tears? I, and they asked me at the time we were having lunch, and I was supposed to immediately go. I could not talk to them. I say, you wait, I will talk to you later. And this is what I was trying to, this was coming in my mind. I said, their insular cortex got activated. Whenever you are in compassion, deep compassion towards yourself, this activation happens, and the tears starts to flow for no apparent reason. Because internally you are compassionate to your own self. This is swaprachiti. Swaprachiti means yourself. So this is what happened. And that's why whenever you are initially starting this meditation thing, tears will come out of your eyes without any apparent logic. And it is because this is getting activities, which means the meditation started to work. And then if you continue sitting longer, then this is the integration phase. Now, if you skip out after this, even let's say I don't know what these tears are all about. I am a macho man. How can I be having tears? You move out, and this can be reversible. It can go back to this whole thing. You get up immediately. You continue sitting for more till 40 minutes. And then there is an integration phase, the aligning phase, the healing phase, the standing at the threshold phase, and it is just waiting for a breakthrough to happen. This is the this is the transitional 4D states of consciousness. And if you continue to another 40 to 60 minutes, then the 5D states of consciousness clicks in, and which is what the egolessness is. That is when you get connected to everything. You feel and you see only love. You feel healed and integrated. Till then, this particular area is the place where healing happens at a default level. You are creating your own healing molecules in your physiology to heal anything that is out of control. Anything. This is the place where healing happens. Not only that, you can heal somebody else in this space. You go into this space and you can heal the person 500 miles away. This is the spot when you go deeper into the deep meditation, you can heal others, including yourself. And this is the place where unlimited feeling is effortless, aligned, non-physical, non-linear thinking. It is not that linear thinking going on here. It is it is a fractal thinking, I would say. So it is like just like unlimited thing is so authentic. You get inspiration right there. Purpose driven, compassionate, intuitive, divine, liberated. This is what it is all about meditation. So now your pran pratisthit. wherein you are the master of your physiological function of the body. So when you master the physiological function of the body, you are not going to harass those physiological function by doing a dumb thing like drinking or things and that. Automatically, you will leave that because you have got something much more unbelievable, much more fantastic. That those things, the mundane things, did not does not even appeal to you ever. Now you become the living deity. This is the time when you can call yourself Aham Brahmasmi. Now you have become the deity, right? Where you have transcended the physical body while still maintaining the physical body. Do you have the body? Now you are saying you are not the body. You have a body. And you are in the world, yet out of the world. Now you can say Aham Brahmasmi because you know. You know. You don't believe in it anything. You know. And you don't even need to convince anybody of it also. You just know and you are smiling nicely. So one thing I have learned from my mother actually, and it was amazing the thing that I learned from her. And she said that we cannot understand the true meaning of gratitude without first appreciating grace. Grace means the Sahasra Chakra. You gift for no apparent reason. Grace is undeserved favor. Grace cannot be earned. It is something that is freely given to us. And once we appreciate that, oh my goodness, I have been so thankless for my kidney even. I was so thankless for my liver. I was so thankless for my eyes. How many people have thanked their eyes in the morning if they could see things? I have been working with people who have this the rods are not disappearing from their vision. Cannot see. The small round spot. That's all they can see, and nothing else they can see. And I was thinking, my goodness, did I even thank my eyes today? Did I thank my hands? Did I thank my teeth? We are so ungrateful people. We just cannot thank. But because we are not appreciating the grace, grace is undeserved favor. Remember, it is not earned. You cannot earn enough. You cannot work hard enough. You cannot be honest enough to earn that. It is given to you. That the moment you understand that, things happen. Gratitude is the most beautiful flower that arises from our inner core. Of that flower, the bud opens very slowly. It becomes a flower very slowly. Soon it will have wings in the form of fragrance. The whole life will become fragrant. Soon, not only one flower, but millions of flowers shall bloom. Why? When even one more flower blooms because of your blooming, no, the spring has come. No, well, the spring has come. And that is what it is all about. So, thank you so much. I appreciate if somebody has not bought the book, there is much more juice in the book because it is written through me. And I am not the author of the book. It is written through me. The Lord Hanumanji has put my name there. That's all. So there is a lot more to learn in the book. It is even I sometimes read the books. I say, my goodness, where was I when this was written? So this is what I feel all the time. So I मेरो भलो कियो राम आपनी भलाई मेरो भलो कियो राम आपनी भलाई राम सो बड़ो है कौन मोसो कौन छोटो राम सो बड़ो है कौन कौन छोटो मेरो भलो कियो राम आपनी भला. Who is Ram? That which pervades everything. Consciousness is Ram. He allowed the drop to fall into it. Mero means the ego. And Ram is Sarveshu Ramante iti Rama. That which is pervading everything is Ram. He allowed me to drop into him. Immense gratitude. Immense. Thank you.